In this video, we're going to talk about using AI for your customer service and how to apply it within your business. Now, the typical question people tend to ask is, should I use AI or should I use humans instead? But actually, that's the wrong question because the fact is, your customer is only really interested in having their problem solved or getting an answer to the question they have, not trying to see if you have demonstrated the use of AI or you've applied AI within your business. So as we go through today's video, you'd see the different scenarios where you can use AI, and then would look at a demo of what a typical AI voice agent would look like when we're configuring it from the back end. And if you wanted an actual demonstration, just reach out and we'll put something together for you. So some research was done some time ago by SurveyMonkey that said that 79% of people strongly prefer to interact with a human. I'm the same. I'd rather interact with a human, but a human that can answer my question. If you've been through the wait times and then you've met somebody at the other end of the phone and they've not been able to answer your question, they've not been able to provide the service you want, or they completely misunderstand what you're asking for, then that's frustrating. Is equally frustrating, or potentially doubly more frustrating when AI is doing it, because AI will not give up. It will keep asking and asking and asking. So my experience with AI has been varied. If the AI has been configured correctly and put in the right part of your business, then it's extremely helpful because it gets people to the resolution they want really quickly. And the people who need human interaction can then go to the human interaction quickly as well. Equally, Twilio did their own survey that said that 72% of people would choose AI if it guaranteed a faster resolution. So imagine you're on the road and you need to change an appointment or send a message to somebody that you're running late. At that point, you don't care who you speak to. You just want to get the message across if you can't use any other means. So AI would be more than sufficient for you. You just send a message and then it goes. You don't care. But if you're trying to solve a problem with your banking or with your finance, you do want to speak to a human most times. So most companies decide which channel they want to put AI on. So they would go, all right, let's have AI handle all of the website traffic. They might think, well, that's a good way to do it, just so that they can test how things happen or how AI handles things. The problem is if somebody goes to the website and applies or asks a question through your chatbot on your website, if it's an AI chatbot, when that fails, they'll need to speak to a human. And then that human will make them have to say the same thing over again. And that is also frustrating. So don't use your different channels as ways to contain people or contain your customers. It needs to be part of a holistic solution for your entire business. So you can pick one and use that one, but the information from there should feed into other solutions. What does that mean? So if someone goes to your website and they've identified themselves and provided the information, it should feed your CRM at the back end so that if that same customer phones another channel or phones dials your phone or goes through a different channel, your support staff or your customer representatives have access to the previous conversation. So it's seamless to the customer. So customer service is not just a single job. There are different things that customer service entails. So asking for information. Okay, what are your opening hours? What is the order status? It might how you might have somebody call up to find reschedule an appointment. But in some cases where the customer is dissatisfied or is threatening to leave, you might be best placed to put a human there so that a human can actually, at the very least, do an exit interview. And if they can't do an exit interview, try to rescue that situation before you have someone go out and leave reviews online. And if your client needs some emotional support, it's better done by a human. If an AI is doing it and the client detects that it's AI, it's really, really patronizing almost. So don't automate everything. We've created zones and we place customer requirements in different zones. So we've got the green zone, the amber zone, and red zone. The green zone is for things that have a clear end result. So stuff that's repetitive or repeatable. For example, what time's my appointment? That's a fairly standard question, and AI can handle that. I need to change this appointment. What's the balance of my account? Those sorts of things. They're green zone. Very clear response. Amber is where there's a bit of nuance, where you might need some human interpretation, and it's not entirely disastrous if AI handles that, but a human intervention might help. So there's some consequence where humans might help clarify some uncertainty. Like, okay, do you have any spaces? Has there been any cancellation today? And can I have it? Now, you may decide that you don't just allocate um, spaces to people that phone up. You might want to have a human decide if that person calling should get the space or the cancellation. Then the final one is the red zone, where definitely you want a human, like processing refunds, or deciding if a refund should be given, and where there's uncertainty. So the zones just demarcate the increasing risks, and increasing risk of having a customer that is not satisfied. So good AI customer service work is where the AI can identify who the customer is, find out exactly what they want, what is their complaint, can it prepare the next action, can it help move the customer along. There are different things that can be done, but these are definite results that you can have and that you can easily measure. Things like, okay, here's a link explaining how to book, and you just send it off. That's not really AI doing anything. That's just automation. But AI has some intelligence, some generative intelligence. So that's it's better if the AI does the actual booking of the appointment. So it's saving the customer time, and that's all part of the customer service and customer experience. So where should humans lead? I've already mentioned about judgment, negotiations, building the relationship, rescuing things from ending up with bad reviews or bad customer experience. You want humans to be involved there. And then where there are exceptions. So sometimes your prompting may not be adequate enough and may miss some aspects. So you want a human to get there. And then if the customer asks for a human, just make sure that that call can be handed off to a human in a seamless way. So one of the biggest issues is the handover between AI and the um, customer service representative or your customer service staff. If when a customer calls, they have to re-identify themselves and go through the whole conversation again, then that's not great. It's a bit like now when we phone banks and the bank says, okay, give us your date of birth, and you type it in the phone. This is before you speak to anyone. You type it in the phone and then it says, okay, what's this about? And you say, okay, I'm trying to, it's a payment that's failed or something like that. Um, it's fantastic when you get through to the customer service person and they know exactly what you're talking about. They're not starting afresh. Okay, they call you by your name, and yes, this is about the payment. Okay, let's have a look. Rather than, oh, who is this? Let's go through verification again. Let's do, oh, no, we don't want that. So you can build this into AI solutions, and that's all possible. We'll have a look at some AI solution in a bit. So two enquiries, same AI, different rules. So one on the left hand side has is about an appointment that they're trying to change. So you have your annual appointment, and because this is annual, you probably don't know who the customer is or when they're. Well, you know who they are, but you don't know who's calling at the time. But if they can just phone up 2 days beforehand to say, I'm not going to be around for this appointment, can I move it to a different day? The AI can handle that. That's fully green zone. Red zone is where somebody calls to say, I have an emergency in my property, the gas boiler is not working, or there's a leak. You do want to find out what the situation is, so the AI can gather the information, can suggest some emergencies, and then escalate to a human, so the human validates what the AI has done. And because we've got transcripts for most of these calls, the transcript can also be sent to the customer service representative so that they can see it if this is something that's happened out of hours. And the standalone chatbot is not really ideal anymore. We're now at a place where AI chatbots are fairly easy to deploy and implement within websites. So having the defined deterministic rules of, okay, when this happens, then do this, then do that, then do that, with no intelligence, uh, people find it frustrating. So research shows that people are 3 times more likely to prefer a third-party generative AI um, experience than go for the standard customer service block flow type role. Now, that has its place, but for most customers, they would rather have the AI or the solution answer their problems and respond. And businesses right now, only 24% of businesses are actually making anything from their AI implementations, and there are various reasons for that, which we can go into in a different session. But a couple of them would be there's no intelligence in the AI that they've deployed, and they've just plugged one problem and just put AI in there without thinking of the overall solution and how it fits into their daily workflows and their daily business. And if the client gets to a point where they're on your AI solution and then they're trapped, basically the code just keeps going around in circles, then that's not a great experience. And then that person still has to call a human. So you might as well have just had a human rather than implement something poorly. So one of the things that companies do, which clients and customers are starting to see, is that companies feel the desire to implement AI. And when they implement AI, rather than implement AI in an integrated way within their business, they try and farm off problems to the AI rather than fixing and adding it in a bold, courageous way into their normal business, right? So people are using AI to deflect from the issues. Now, an example might be you get a lot of calls out of hours. Yes, it's great to have AI answer the initial call, but if you're getting emergencies and all you're doing is just say, okay, answer the call and then say, well, go off to this other person, you're not really solving the problem because you're moving them to someone else. Yes, you've given them something to do, but you haven't solved the problem. They still have their problem. So it's a way of avoiding handling the problem cleanly. Now, there are ways to sort out emergency calls if you don't provide that service. You can actually make that call for them, right? You can reroute that call on their behalf if they're your customer. There's a better customer experience, which is you can have somebody actually sit there, take all of the details, do further research for them, and then send. And then the other one is where customers have a complaint line, and then there's no human there to answer their calls or to help understand the customer situation. You just give them a rote response, and okay, we only do refunds if you've been with us for 6 days or for 6 months, rather than trying to handle the nuance. So that's really using technology to deflect from what you should be doing as a responsible business. Now, let me show you what an AI voice agent looks like and how we program it, just so that you can see what that entails. So this is a solution called Vapi. This is our preferred solution, and on here you essentially create something called an assistant, and that assistant determines the experience your clients will have when they phone you. So we put prompts in. So, for example, this is a prompt that was automatically generated during the call. So this wasn't pre-created. This was generated when the call came in, and here, because it's generated during the call, we're able to address the customer specifically, knowing who they are. So in this case, the customer is called Simon West. And Simon West was interested in viewing a property. This was for a real estate company. Was interested in viewing a property. So we're able to say, okay, hey, Simon West, even before they've given us their name. So that's where they start to feel like this company has made an effort, and this AI knows who I am and will address my situation. And this address here is just saying that they called, and the last time they spoke, the customer was interested in this property address. So you can think about how this can apply to your business, regardless of what that business is. So this is where we apply the prompt. up here is the first message they hear. Hello, Simon West. Thank you for calling Hamilton James. So you can do this same thing for your business. And then further up is more technical, like which large language model will be used to respond and the like. So this is just to give you an idea as to what happens. And within here, we can call out different tools. We can contact your CRM, pull more information in. We can pull information out, and just make things a lot more bespoke and customized. So if this is something that will be of interest to you, of course, feel free to reach out to us. So if you're planning to roll out any AI customer service solution, think of it in different stages. So you start with AI that categorizes the calls that have come in, summarizes them, and then creates your drafts, and then updates your CRM. Don't just leave it on within the transcripts of the AI solution. If it's a chatbot, that's fairly easy, and then you can just grab that information, put it somewhere that the human can also look at if needed. The second stage is low risk customer interaction. So you've gone now from, okay, can I rebook? Can I change my appointment date? Can I move things around? What's the order status? Now you're going into, all right, the last time I called, I was talking about my boiler. Do you know when next someone will be available to come and see? So you can start to put those things in. Do I qualify for a refund? What are your rules around refund handling? And this is not just about, okay, what are your opening times? And so with that second stage, it's now starting to look at your knowledge base, provide useful information to the client. The third stage is where AI starts to complete routine actions. So what are your routine actions? Those routine actions will be things like, appointment setting. It could be things like calling somebody else to send them a message. It could be a translation or anything that has a defined conclusion to it that is measurable. There is where you want stage 3 to be. And by that point, it's mature because you've seen the data from stages 1 and 2, and you now understand better how AI works with your clients, and you've monitored some of the previous interactions that AI has had. So whatever your business does, that's fairly routine. If most people call to book an appointment, or most people call to give updates on the work they're doing. So, for instance, we had a client who they're in the construction space, and what they do is when they work on site, they build with different types of concrete, different types of cement, and they have to do certain measurements on site, and then send that information back to the head office. So what we implemented was when they finish working on their way back or on the way to the next job, they're able to phone a number and then give the update. And that update gets saved to the client site, or to the job they've just finished. So that's something like that. That's fairly routine. That's something those construction workers do every day and multiple times a day. So you can do that. Then stage 4 is where you have humans review the exceptions. Always have humans. You always have humans in the loop. And customers do not want a human or a robot. So the thing is, if a customer knows what they want, for instance, book the appointment, change the appointment, things like that, they just want speed. They don't want to speak to a human. They don't want to spend 5 minutes for a job that's going to take them 30 seconds to complete. So that's where you want AI, and pay humans to mind that. If the human has a complaint or has something that's a lot more involved, or they have something to get off their chest, then put the human there. The human will be there for the judgment side of things, to build trust with the client, and to rescue potentially an expensive or high value customer. So what is your worst AI customer service experience? I'll start with mine. So if I've got two. One was a bank that implemented AI, and all I was trying to do was, what was it? Yeah, my my credentials stopped working online. So I phoned the line, and I answered all of the questions correctly, but they didn't understand that I was trying to fix my credentials, and they kept going round and round and round. go back to the top again. Okay, what is your name? What are the details? What's your inquiry about? I'll give that inquiry, and then we'll try something, go quiet, and come back again and ask the same question over and over and over and over. And because I build these solutions, I understood what was happening, but there was no breakout. I couldn't speak to a human. I couldn't escalate anywhere. I was just trapped in this cycle, and that was the only option I had, was to speak to that AI. So a completely terrible experience. So I left it. And I see them as people that are just not serious, but they're a bank and they can afford to do these things. I'm not going to name them. The other experience I had was recently. I phoned their number as a HVAC company. I left my details, and yes, I had a call back from AI. Fantastic. Tick. The problem was the AI kept calling and calling and calling and calling and calling and called over multiple days. Doesn't matter. It didn't matter how often I told it I was not interested. It's the issue is gone wrong. Doesn't matter what I told it. It kept calling and calling and calling and calling. That's a terrible experience, and no customer likes that. No customer will give you their number again if that happens. So, because you want to be thinking about referrals as well for your business. So, obviously, if somebody asks me, who do you know as a HVAC company that can solve my problem, then I won't give this number because they'll have a terrible experience like I did. So, think about those things when you're implementing solutions and technology within your business. So what's left to be said is I'm Ua, the founder of Autore AI. We help HVAC companies turn their estimates into booked jobs. And how we do that is actually a human makes the calls. We don't use AI to make these calls. We call ourselves, and we chase clients until they either say no longer interested, or they book and book a call. So this is how we rescue the jobs and estimates that they've already given. Because you as a business, you don't really have time to keep chasing and chasing and chasing. Let's do it for you. So we have the humans make the calls, and then we have other technology that we use to increase the number of touch points and the ways to resurrect things that you have already sent out that haven't been converted. So that's it for me for today. Until next time, keep winning.